Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Sanjeevani Mahavidyalaya Chapoli, allow me to extend a warm welcome to all of you in third lecture of quantum mechanics. Today, we are going to cover a topic that is quantum effect. In this lecture, we will discuss about the experimental setup of Compton effect as well as a derivation related with the Compton shift. The Compton effect is the result of high energy photon colliding with a target which release a loosely bound electron from the outer shell of the atom or molecule. Just see this figure. This is the experimental setup for the Compton effect. The scattered radiations experiences a wavelength shift that cannot be explained in terms of classical wave theory. The effect was first demonstrated in 1923 by Arthur Compton, for which he received a Nobel Prize in 1927. The effect is important because it demonstrates the light cannot be explained purely as a wave phenomena. Thomson scattering, the classical theory of an electromagnetic wave scattered by a charged particle cannot be explained low intensity shift in wavelength. Classically, light of sufficient intensity for the electric field to accelerate a charged particle to a relativistic speed will cause a radiation pressure, recoil, and an associate a Doppler shift of the scattered light. But the effect would become arbitrarily small at a sufficient low light intensity, regardless of wavelength. Light must behave as if it consists of a particle in order to explain the low intensity Compton scattering. Compton experiment convinced physicists that light can behave as a stream of particle whose energy is proportional to the frequency. Now just see this figure. This is the experimental setup for the Compton effect. First we will discuss the experimental setup, then we will derive how we can find out the Compton shift throughout this experimental setup. The schematic diagram of Compton experiment or setup are shown in this figure. It consists of a source, a target, and detector. The idea of this experiment is straightforward. A monochromatic X-ray with a wavelength lambda are incident on a sample of a graphite where they interact with atom inside the sample. The latter emerge as a scattered X-ray with a wavelength lambda prime. Incident wavelength with incident X-ray with a wavelength lambda and scattered X-ray with wavelength lambda prime, which makes an angle phi prime with respect to the incident direction. A detector placed behind the target can measure the intensity of radiation scattered in any direction phi with respect to the direction of the incident X-ray beam. The scattered angle phi is the angle between the direction of the scattered beam and the direction of the incident beam. In this experiment, the intensity and the wavelength lambda of the incoming beam, and for a scattered angle theta we measure the intensity and the wavelength lambda prime. of the outgoing beam. Typically, result of these experiment measures the change in wavelength, that is delta lambda, or it is also called as a Compton shift, lambda prime minus lambda, scattered wavelength minus incident wavelength. It gives a Compton shift or delta lambda. As given by Compton, the explanation of this Compton shift is that in the target material graphite, valence electrons are loosely bound in the atom and behaves like a free electron. When X-ray with a wavelength lambda incident on the target material, that loosely bounded electron or that free electron changes its direction, or it makes an angle theta with respect to this initial position. Compton assumed that the incident X-ray radiations is a stream of a photon. An incoming photon in this stream collides with a valence electron in the graphite target. In the course of this collision, the incoming photon transfers some part of its energy and momentum to the target electron and leaves the scene as a scattered photon. That is why we are getting a Compton shift delta lambda, which is equal to h by m e c into 1 minus cos phi. Now, we have to derive this equation. In this derivation, we have to assume that both photon and electron are relativistic. It means what? They are moving with the speed of light, and they are that the collision obey that collision which are going to happen on the incident photon and the target electron is elastic. That is why they follow or they obey the conservation of linear momentum and the conservation of total relativistic energy. On that basis, we can derive this Compton shift. Okay, we will derive that this equation step by step. Just see this schematic diagram of Compton scattering, in which a incident photon with the energy E is equal to h f. F is nothing but the incident frequency, or h c by lambda also. Then momentum of incident photon is equal to h by lambda. That incident photon is going to incident on a target electron with a initial energy is equal to m c square. When that incident photon collides on a target electron, it gets scattered. We are getting, our detector can detect that scattered photon, which makes an angle theta, and a recoil electron which makes an angle phi with respect to the incident direction. Scattered photon is equal to having energy is equal to h f prime or h c by lambda prime, with a momentum p is equal to h by lambda prime. Now, in conservation of momentum, if incident and final or recoil momentum which makes an angle phi, on that basis, by using a vector triangle concept, we can find out the PE. P is the resultant of Pi and Pf, which makes an angle phi. That is why Pe square is equal to Pf square plus Pi square minus 2 Pf Pi cos phi. This is nothing but a vector triangle concept. On that basis, we can find out the resultant Pe square is equal to Pf square plus Pi square minus 2 Pf Pi cos phi. Similarly, a conservation of energy. How we can find out the energy? As we know, the law of conservation of energy, total energy in the universe remains constant. If we use that concept, it means the energy before collision and energy after collision is same. means initial energy and final energy both are equal. As we know, the initial energy of the incident photon and the rest electron is PIC plus MEC square, and the final energy PFC plus EE, recoil energy of that electron, is nothing but EE. If we equate this initial energy and final energy and rearrange that equation, then we will get EE is equal to PIC minus PFC plus MEC square. But in general, that recoil energy of electron, or it is also called as EE, electron energy, EE is equal to MEC square whole bracket square plus PEC whole bracket square. This is general expression for E, relativistic energy. If we recombine these two equations, or the left hand side of general expression and above expression is same, that is why we can equate the right hand side also. That is why MEC square whole bracket square plus PEC whole bracket square is equal to PIC minus PFC plus MEC square whole bracket square. So if we see this right hand term, PIC minus PFC plus MEC square, if we consider PIC minus PFC is a one term and MEC square is another term, therefore this equation look like similar to the A plus B whole bracket square. In that case, we can how we can solve that equation? As we know, A plus B whole bracket square is equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB. We have to use that concept and we have to simplify this. Therefore, if we simplify that, we will get MEC square whole bracket square plus PEC square is equal to PIC minus PFC plus MEC square whole bracket square. Then before using that A plus B whole bracket square concept, we have to divide this equation with respect to C square. If we divide with respect to C square, then the above equation becomes MEC whole bracket square plus PE square is equal to PI minus PF plus MEC whole bracket square. If we simplify this, MEC square plus PE square is equal to PI minus PF whole bracket square plus MEC whole bracket square plus 2 PI minus PF into MEC. Again, just see in both sides, left hand side as well as the right hand side, one term is common, that is MEC whole bracket square. That is why we can cancel that MEC square from both sides. If we cancel that, then our equation becomes PE square is equal to PI minus PF whole bracket square plus 2 into PI minus PF into MEC. Now we have two equations, one is the one equation from conservation of energy and another equation from conservation of momentum. That is why PE whole bracket square is equal to PI minus PF whole bracket square plus 2 into PI minus PF into MEC. If we simplify this equation, PE square is equal to PI square plus PF square minus 2 PI PF plus 2 PI minus PF into MEC. This is the conservation of this equation related to the conservation of energy. Again, another equation from conservation of momentum, as we see in above slide, that is PE square is equal to PF square plus PI square minus 2 PF PI cos phi. The left hand side of both equation, from one from conservation of energy and another from conservation of momentum, is same. That is why the right hand side also we can equate. If we equate the right hand side, then PI square plus PF square minus 2 PIPF plus 2 Pi minus PF MEC, which is equal to PF square plus Pi square minus 2 PF Pi cos phi. If we see the both left hand side as well as right hand side, one term is common, that is Pi square plus Pf square. We can cancel both both Pi square plus Pf square from left hand side as well as right hand side. If we cancel that, then our equation becomes minus 2 Pi Pf plus 2 Pi minus Pf into MEC is equal to minus 2 Pi Pf cos phi. Now rearrange this equation, just divide this equation with respect to the 2 Pi Pf. If we divide left hand side as well as right hand side with 2 Pi Pf, then our equation becomes minus 1 plus Pi minus Pf MEC divided by Pi Pf is equal to minus cos phi. Then minus 1 plus Pi minus Pf MEC by Pi Pf is equal to minus cos phi. If we shift minus 1 to the right hand side, it become a 1 minus cos phi. Now just multiply MEC inside the bracket, then equation becomes Pi into MEC minus Pf into MEC, and we are dividing with respect to Pi Pf. If Pi Pi get cancelled, then MEC by Pf minus MEC by Pi is equal to 1 minus cos phi. It means M into C is a common term. We can take common, and that term shift towards the right hand side. Therefore, our equation becomes 1 by Pf minus 1 by Pi is equal to 1 by MC into 1 minus cos phi. Now we know momentum and wavelength both are inversely proportional to each other. That's why the final momentum having wavelength lambda prime and initial incident momentum with a wavelength lambda. Instead of Pf Pi, we are going to write this equation in terms of a wavelength. That's why lambda prime minus lambda is equal to h by mc into 1 minus cos phi. This is the Compton shift expression. Lambda prime minus lambda is equal to delta lambda, which is equal to h by mc into 1 minus cos phi. Now just see some summary related with this Compton shift. Lambda prime minus lambda is equal to h by mc into 1 minus cos phi. In entire explained by the photon electron scattering model. Further proof of the validity of this photon concept, maximum wavelength shift for phi is equal to 180 degree. In that case, cos 180 is equal to minus 1, that minus 1 minus into minus plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That's why Compton shift delta lambda is equal to 2h by mc. H by mc known as Compton wavelength. H by mc is nothing but the Compton wavelength of the electron. Very small, work it out, or a very small. So Compton effect only observed for a short wavelength radiations, for such as a X-ray, gamma ray, with a high wavelength, high frequency and short wavelength. This is all about the Compton shift expression and experimental proof of Compton effect. If you have any doubt related with the experimental setup of Compton effect as well as the derivation of Compton shift, then you can ask or comment on this video, or you can directly contact with me. I will try to explain, or I will try to give the answer of all the questions. Thank you.